Hi everyone, welcome to Pop Workshop. One of the things that you can do with a 3D printer is print out little storage boxes. And if you look online, there's tons of different designs and shapes of all different sorts. Well, I needed one that was very specific. I've used storage boxes in my shop for years, and I've broken and lost quite a few of them. And I need to replace it. And this is the one that I designed to be able to meet that specific need for that specific box. Now, one of the challenges that I wanted to do is I have this out here without any support. How far can you print with the PLA filament and not have any type of problem? That was the experiment today, and I found out. So today I'm going to modify this design. I'm going to put some additional support under there because I would rather do that than have the supports that I just cut off. A little bit different, but I think it's going to work just fine. So let me show you how I designed this simple little box, and I even put the label in there, so if you can see that in the camera, on what goes in the box. This was a lot of fun to do, and let's go ahead and get designing. One of the goals that I have in the shop is to be able to utilize a 3D printer to make useful items, tools, and fixtures that make life in the shop a lot easier. And this drawer is definitely going to help out. Because as I said, a lot of these different drawers have been lost and broken over the years, and it's time to be able to get those fixed. And the only way to do it, make your own box. This is the new home for the box that I had just made. Now I have a lot of the framing supplies in this, as well as other small parts. And I have the small sawtooth picture framing hooks that I put into this box. And you can see that over the years, this is another one that I have, and it's missing a lot of different boxes. Now some of these went over to the ones that you just looked at that's mounted on the wall. And that's the problem. So the first thing I want to do is get the printer ready and do the auto leveling process. And to do that, the bed of course needs to be heated up. I'm going to do the Z offset so it makes sure that it's set exactly the way that I want it. So while the printer is getting ready, let's get the design ready. Now this first design, I'm just going to go overhead and open it up and show you the original file that I had done. And it's in my folder for the 3D prints, and it's right down here under the drawer parts. So that's the file. I'm going to open it up and it will appear in the Cura software. Now this is the box. Now there's things that I can do right here to be able to support it. But if you look at the actual little handle with the sawtooth written on it, that's unsupported underneath there. And that's the test for today. I want to see how well that will or will not print. So I'm going to hit the slice, and we're going to go ahead and slice this project and prepare it for the print. Now, do I expect this to be a perfect print? Actually, no. I think the whole entire box will print out fine, but I am concerned about the handle, and that's what this test is all about today, to see how that will actually print, or in the worst case, not print. I want to take this opportunity to answer a specific question that a person had. As part of the actual leveling process and preparation for this printer, you want to be able to hit the extruder. You want this to be able to extrude out some of the filament at the very beginning. This makes sure that it's flowing, that the filament is at the temperature, and that it's doing what it is supposed to do when you actually start printing. Now you know that this is getting off to a little bit of a slow start, but it went ahead and did exactly what it's supposed to do and screwed out some of that filament. Once that process is done, you can go ahead and hit print via the USB, and it will start printing. Of course, it'll go through the Z process, and you want to make sure that you clean off the nozzle and that material that was on the bed. Now this estimated to be printing about 6 hours. It ended up taking a little over 5 hours to be able to print this box. So the actual estimate from the Cura software was a little bit off, but quite frankly, I'd rather be able to print a little bit sooner than to take longer. So this wasn't a bad situation. It just made it where I could go to bed a little bit earlier. 1 o'clock in the morning was not a whole lot of fun anyway, but I was able to get in bed just after midnight with this box being completely done. So at this point, it's laying down the brim to be able to Make sure that everything is flowing exactly the way it should. And the brim's an important step that you want to be able to include on your prints. Now this is an important step. You want to get up close and look and make sure that this filament on this brim layer is actually sticking to the workbed, that it's smooth and it's flowing the way that it should. If it's not, this is the time that you can stop the machine, make any corrections that's necessary, and then resume the print. And you can see this looks very, very good. Once the brim is completed, it's going to start printing out the bottom of this box. Now this is 2 millimeters thick, so it's going to take a while. But I wanted to be able to mimic as close as possible the original box. And the sides and the bottom of this are about 2 millimeters thick. Now I know some of you are going to say, well, why didn't I just buy a new box? Or in the actual case, box us. But the truth is, I really wasn't able to find any of the boxes of the correct size. And besides, what fun is it to be able to just go out and buy something when you have the tools in the shop to be able to make it? So this is the steps that I wanted to be able to do. Yeah, it takes a little while, but quite frankly, I'd rather do this than go to the stores and hunt it down, try to find it, and realize it was the wrong size anyway. And I bet there's quite a few of you guys out there, just like me, that would rather make your own. Now after a couple of hours, this is what I have so far. The bottom of the box is completed and the sides are being made right now. Now this is the portion that I knew was going to be really nice without any problem. The experiment's coming when we get to that little handle and that unsupported edge. Every now and then I look over at the computer and just see how much time that I have left, because that tells me when I get to go to bed. And yes, I know I started this project way too late in the evening. Having said that, I still want to be able to get this done. I want to give you a good close-up and let you see just how fine and beautiful that this print is. It is looking absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the things that I really, really like about the Elegoo Neptune 3 Pro printer. It does a fantastic job. It's nearing the very end of the print at this point, and you can see the handle and it's printing. The top side of this handle actually looks very good. I want to try to zoom in here in just a second and let you see the bottom side, and that's where there was a little bit of a problem. So I now know that I can't go out 9.5 or 10 millimeters without having a support. Because you can see those little strings hanging down where it did not have full support when it first started to print. But in the end, it was able to build enough of a platform so the top of this was very, very good. Now we're very near the end. It's 92%, and we've almost completed the top layer. And you can see this portion now looks very good. I just don't like the underneath part. In just a moment, it's going to start printing out the word sawtooth, because that's actually what's going to go in this drawer. The little sawtooth hangers to be able to support the back of the picture frame to be able to hang it on the wall. And this is the very last step. Once it finishes printing out this word, then this project will be completely done, and I'll be able to remove it from the bed. Well, the project's actually finished now, and you can look at the word sawtooth. That looks flawless, and the portion on top looks flawless. The rest of the box I knew was going to look great. The only problem that I have is that underneath on that unsupported section. So I now want to go back into the computer and show you how we're going to fix that problem. Now the real question I'm sure that some of you will have is, am I going to keep this or am I going to throw it away because there's a flaw? Well, quite frankly, yes, I'm going to keep it, because that little small flaw is not a big deal to me. But I know that one, it was a learning experience, and two, I can fix that and make it better for the next box that I print out. If I do the side-by-side comparison, looking at the two boxes, this turned out absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to have happen. The real test now, let's go see if it'll fit into the cabinet. Because if it doesn't fit in the cabinet, then yes, it's going to be useless. And there you go. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. that is going to be the perfect solution to the problem that I have to the missing drawers for this storage unit. So the only thing that's left is to take the sawtooth hangers and put them into their new home. So even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning, it's well worth having this project finished and knowing that it will work. Now what I want to do is take you into the computer and show you how we're going to fix this problem of that handle that's not supported. When I open up the Tinkercad, it shows the different designs that I have been working on, and this is the little box right here that I had designed. Now this box is designed to be a specific size to be able to fit into the metal boxes to be able to replace the ones that have been lost and broken. Now you saw how it actually printed, and that was the experiment, because this overhang right here, which is not supported, that is the potential problem that I had, and you saw the results of that. Typically you'd have supports built into it from the Cura software to be able to support this little ledge, and then after it printed you'd break those away. Well, the experiment proved to be, as far as I'm concerned, successful. 1, it printed. 2, I realized the problem, and you could see how those little strings were hanging down. Now the goal today is to be able to put a little wedge right underneath here, and that will give the support that's needed. Let me zoom in, and that will sit right into this area right there. So I can come over to this right here and select the wedge and bring it in, and that's what we're going to work with. I'm going to bring this back to the home. I'm going to get this over where we can work with it a little bit, and first thing I want to do this at 65 millimeters long, because that is the length of this little handle right here. And I think what I want to do is make this about 5 millimeters. And we also have to change the height of this down to about 5 millimeters also. Now we can zoom into this and look at this piece, and I can take and rotate this around just like that, and then I can move it over to here. And you see this right here, I can actually rotate that around so that it's 90 degrees, and I can actually type in the 90 degrees here, which will be a -90, and that gives it perfect. And then I can actually elevate this and bring that right up to where it needs to be. Now that this is in place, I want to look around on all the different sides and make sure that it's exactly the way that I want it. Now when you slide this wedge in place, you want to actually embed it into the sides and into that little shelf just a little bit. That way you know when you combine it that it's going to become one part. Next I want to highlight the sawtooth, get it out of the way. I want to highlight the entire box now, and that includes the wedge, and combine it. That way it makes one component with this complete box, not including the words. Now the words are all gone, and it's time to put in the new words. I'm going to do the upholstery pins, because that's the item that I want to put into this new box. In the text window, all I need to do is just type out the words, and that's it. Let's size it, and we'll put it into the little handle, and we'll be done. By clicking on the corner, you can see the actual measurements of the length and the width of this, so I can just type in the new measurements and be able to slide it over where I want it, and we'll make the fine adjustments there. As far as the height, I'm going to set this at 2 millimeters, and don't forget, when I place it onto this little handle, I'm going to embed it into this handle just ever so slightly, down literally about 1 millimeter. But now I'm moving it right up to the top, and I'm going to place it right where I want it. And I like the way that looks. That looks real good. So this box is all ready to be able to print. We can look at it from all different sides. I like the wedge that I put underneath it. I think that is going to help it out a whole lot. Now the sides of this are 2 millimeters. The bottom is 2 millimeters. And this little shelf is also 2 millimeters thick. Show you how easy it is to be able to make this box. All I want to do is just bring in a box right here. First thing we're going to do is highlight this, and we're going to change the measurements. This was 70 millimeters and this was 147 millimeters. The height of this was 31 millimeters. So there's the basic box right there. And if you look at that, that's the box. Now, let's slide this back up onto the work plane, and let's duplicate this box. And I can just hit Control D, and that gives me a separate box. We'll bring that right over there, just like this. Now, I want to change the measurements. I want to change the measurements of this by 4. So instead of being 147, I'm going to subtract 4, and that's going to be 143. Same thing over here. I'm going to subtract 4 from this, and that'll be 66. Now the reason I'm doing that is it gives me a 2 millimeter rim all the way around the edge of the box. The height of this, I'm going to change this by 2 millimeters because I want the bottom 2 millimeters thick. So that's going to be 29 millimeters. And from there, I can take this now, and I'm going to show you this little trick right here. I'm going to take this, and I can raise this box up 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters. So there's my 2 millimeter thickness off of the floor. We're going to take this box now, we're going to change it into a hole, and then I'm going to slide it over here. Now that's close, but not close enough. Let's just highlight both of them. We're going to hit the align, and we can align it. We can align this way, and we can align it this way. And that gives me my 2 millimeters all the way around. At this point, we're going to go ahead and combine this together, or group it together, and that gives me the box. That is just how easy it is. Now the next thing, to be able to put this on the front, it's going to be the same thing as the way that I did the wedge. I'll take the little box, size it, and then slide it over, attach it, and combine it. Thank you for watching today. I hope that you was able to learn a few things. And one, it's not a bad thing to be able to experiment, because anytime that you experiment in the shop, you're going to learn a few things. Some things are going to be a success, some things aren't, but that's okay because it's still a learning opportunity, because you're going to find out exactly what works and what doesn't work. And then you can go through and make those modifications. And that's what I wanted to be able to show you today in this video. So if you like this video, by all means, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget, hit that little subscribe button right down there. It really does help. Leave me a comment. Tell me your experiences with the 3D printer. Tell me some of the successes and failures that you had. And most importantly, how you was able to overcome those different failures when you had a failed project. So for now, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video. So for now, bye-bye. Can't wait to see you back in the shop real soon.